In the last episode, we learned all about kickoffs. The different positionings and kickoff types are now in your wheelhouse. In this episode of Rocket League Beginner's Handbook, we'll be going over everything positioning. The first thing I'll be talking about is something called shadow defense. This tactic is the predominant method to defend in ones and a very useful technique in twos and threes as the last man in rotation. Shadow defense is an effective way to combat solo plays being made by opposing players. How it works is when the player is coming at you with the ball, you want to mirror their movement while facing towards your net so you can dive in for a challenge when you see an opening. If you can get an effective challenge, it should buy enough time for your teammates to come back and help you in twos or threes, and it should give you an opportunity to attack in ones. Shadow defense is the only positioning method I'll talk about relating to ones because there aren't any teammates to worry about. Speaking of teammates, let's talk about twos. You can split up the field into these different sectors. You should never be in the same sector as your teammate. If you do end up being next to each other, take initiative and spread out. If one of your opponents gets past your teammate, you'll be too close to do anything and they'll likely get past you as well. If you're spread out, you can act as another line of defense and hopefully buy time for your teammate to rotate behind you. If you're bunched up on attack, any pass you or your teammates makes will be going to an empty field and make an easy clear for the other team. When you're on attack, you should have one teammate controlling the ball and the other teammate ready to shoot the ball if it's past mid, and also ready to retreat onto defense if it's cleared. Once the first man gets rid of the ball, they should immediately start rotating back in case the second man needs help. Okay, so now about threes. It's pretty similar to twos rotation, but a bit more complicated. As there are three players, there are three different positions you can be in, both on offense and defense. When you're on offense, there is position number 1, which is forward on the side. Their goal is to pass the ball middle for the player in position number 2. The sole purpose of position number 2 is to shoot the ball at the goal. After those, you have position number 3, who you'll hear me refer to as the third man, which is the last line of defense. And they should be behind position number 1, ready to move in if the first player can't center the ball, and it's their job to stop enemy clears. If the ball is sent across the net and player 2 can't shoot, it's player 3's job to move into position 1 and try to center the ball to the new player in position 2, which is the player who was in position 1. And while all of this is happening, player 2 should be moving into position 3. So basically, the shooter should move to the back, the defender takes point, and the passer goes in to shoot. Position 1 into position 2, 2 into 3, and 3 into 1. If the opponents get a clear past the third man, you shift into defensive rotations. On defense, we have 3 more positions to be in. Position 1 is the pusher. The goal of this player is to dive at the opponent with the ball, so they have to make an awkward touch or just get rid of the ball earlier than they want to, so the player in position 2 can easily make a clear. Position 2 is in front of the goal, ready to defend. Position 3 is behind position 2, and they're ready to move into position 2 as soon as the second player makes a move. This is also where the first player goes after they push. This is an ever-moving rotation that goes on until someone gets a successful clear. So in summary, position 1 pushes and then rotates into position 3. Position 3 goes into position 2, and position 2 goes into position 1. As a final note, as third man in either of these rotations, you need to be very careful because you're the final line of defense. Your teammates have been beat, and if you lose a challenge or miss the ball, odds are you'll get scored on. Only push up if you're 1000% sure you will beat the opponents to the ball, or you can make a favorable challenge. Being alone as third man is the perfect opportunity to use shadow defense. Another thing is when you're rotating into third man on defensive rotation, make sure you always go to the back post. That is very important. That's all I have to say about positioning. I hope this helps you double commit a lot less. You know how there are 3 rotations for offense and defense? Well, those rotations transition because of strong clears. In the next episode of Rocket League Beginner's Handbook, I'll be going over everything clears. If you enjoy my content, please make sure to subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.